I'm a programmer analyst. I got my bachelor's degree here from Southern Utah University in information systems, and later went on to get my master's degree in cybersecurity and information assurance. And in my day job, one of my roles is that I get to help protect data and make sure that it's safe. So, okay, let me run something by you. I'm going to suggest that tonight, for everybody, we're going to reset your passwords. For every account that you have, that you've got at all. And tonight we're going to reset those passwords. I've seen this phase a few times when I suggest to somebody that we need to reset their password, because sometimes that's not easy to do. So this is a pretty common phase. Now, I understand that likely this isn't going to happen. But when I make that suggestion to you, what's your first response to something this crazy? Now, passwords are keys to getting so much of our day done. They get us access to our email, to our work systems. They get us access into our social media so we can see what our friends have eaten or what funny cat jokes going on. And they're also a part of a lot of other services that we use from day to day to be able to get in and do our jobs. Now, understandably, we all have different ways of how we manage our passwords. In my experience, I've seen people with the notorious sticky note right on the monitor in plain sight for everybody to see. And when they want to get real secure, they take that sticky note and they put it underneath their keyboard, right? For security's sake. I've gone ahead and I've seen notepads stored in desks with everybody's information in it. But for whatever reason, I don't know why, but when I go to help somebody get into their website or wherever they need to go, they go to their website and the username and password is already stored right there in the browser, and they just hit enter. I don't know why, but that just drives me crazy. But it reminds me, though, of the great Captain Picard, and I can't help but be just a little bit disappointed. I get it, though. Managing your passwords, it's complicated, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing that you get to do throughout your day. But with everything requiring one these days, it's something that we need to talk about. Recently, I did a little bit of research, just coming to find out that IBM, they have an annual ongoing study into data breaches. And in their 2019 executive summary, they talk about the average cost of a data breach for the companies that they've studied. Now, in 2006, when they started this study, the average cost for a data breach for these companies was $3.54 million. And then fast forward to 2019, now that number is $8.19 million. It's a big number. Now, this may not register with everybody, because I think at the end of the day, this isn't coming out of our paychecks, right? Well, regardless of whether or not this registers with you, we need to wake up and we need to realize that our personal information is in these databases that are breached. And more importantly, we need to realize that we have a responsibility to protect that data. Another reality is that databases are a huge asset for hackers. With the common data breaches that are happening all the time, these databases are huge for them to get access to, because they can take that information, they can break it up, and they can sell it for a huge profit to themselves on the dark web. Now, still in 2019, research still shows us that human error is one of the largest reasons for unauthorized access to these databases. And that got me thinking, here on our campus, in my role, and with what I have access to, I got digging a little bit and did a little bit of research here to find out how things are going on our campus. And with what I found that we still have an issue with remembering our passwords. So I just ran a little query, and that showed me that from January till now, we average about 100 emails that are sent out because a user has forgotten their password. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but now, cumulatively, we have almost 23,000 emails that have been sent out. And that's just because somebody forgot their password. Again, this is just evidence to show we as humans struggle with remembering our passwords. You may have heard of the term firewall. If not, a firewall is just a systematic layer of the network that's built to help keep the bad guys out, using systematic rules and policies that are meticulously crafted and help monitor and alert network engineers to if there's a problem. And that firewall denies hundreds of millions of requests of inbound traffic every day. This is what one day of inbound requests from the internet looks like here on our firewall. As you can see, almost 276 million inbound requests come from the internet daily. 276 million. Almost 272 million of those requests are denied. That's just leaving a little over 4.2 million, or 1.6% of those requests being allowed to come through, and they're permitted. It's a pretty crazy diagram to look at. So another term I want to share with you is the human firewall. You may not have heard of that one as much, but that is the non-systematic network layer. That's us. We're the human factor. We're part of that human firewall. Now, keep in mind, as that human firewall, if we leave our password as a sticky note on the desktop or somewhere that's in plain text, easy for somebody to get access to, such as a hacker or a coworker that wants you to get fired or whatever it is, you've just given that person authorized access into the network. There's nothing that that network firewall layer is going to do to stop that individual from getting the information that they're out to get. Again, it recognizes that as a valid user. It's not going to do anything. So hackers, they still look to this human firewall to get their access because, again, that's the simplest and easiest way for them to be able to get access to this data that they're looking for. Again, just another reason that password administration is such an important task for us to start focusing on. I don't know about you, but every time I see her face, I can hear her voice. What I want to present to you today, though, is that we work to become stronger as the human firewall. That we're not going to be the weakest link, and that we're going to take initiative to be better. Now, I know that there's a lot of different things that we can do to strengthen that, but I want to focus on something in particular for just the next few moments. Because with all the different tools that we can use to strengthen the human firewall, I think one of them, the password manager, is one that I want to focus on. Because ultimately our passwords are the keys that get us into access to these databases and to the data that's in them. Now, in regards to a cyber attack, it's often referred to as not if, but when. So now is a good time to take action and working on strengthening the human firewall. Now, there are a lot of tools out there, but again, like I said, I want to focus on the password manager for the next few moments. What is a password manager? I just want to go on record now and say that this is not a password manager. At least, technically not a good one. So I understand that passwords, it's hard to remember a long, unique 12-character password for every account that you have, and to keep that into your head at every moment of the day and have it be able to get called up and used whenever you need it. The password manager is the tool that allows you to be able to do that securely and to be able to have that long, strong, unique password for each of your accounts. Now, one of my favorite features about a password manager is the ability that provides you the option of being able to get into a website really quickly. I don't know about you guys, but I used to have a lot of bookmarks to websites that I need to go to frequently. With an account created in your password manager, you have the URL and your username and password, which are stored securely within the password manager. And with a shortcut key on your keyboard, you can type in where you want to go, hit enter. It'll securely open up a tab. It'll throw your username and password into those fields that are there, and securely log you into your account. This is streamlining your access into the accounts that you need to get into every day and hopefully making your life a lot easier. I know for me, I use this all the time and I love it. Now, I know it's not easy to be able to create a long, strong, unique password. Again, that's what the password manager can help do for you. You can create an account, it'll help generate a long, strong password, and then you can save that record in the password manager. Now, keep in mind, when you start using a password manager, you need to create a long, unique, strong master password. When I say that, I'm reminded of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, as he's trying to save his companions in the tunnels, and he's out there on the bridge trying to stop the fiery beast from crossing that bridge. When he slams his staff down and says, "You shall not pass," that's what it's going to be like if you don't remember that master password. You know, like the ring that they swore to protect, your master password is very valuable, and it's very important to you. You need to remember that, and it is the one password to rule them all. Now let's talk for a minute how we can migrate to using this password manager. Understandably, if you've never practiced these strategies and you've never used these tools, starting is probably a very daunting thought. So, what I suggest to you is you start with doing a little bit of your own research. I can't suggest to you one over the other, but you can just pull up whatever your favorite search engine is and search for best password manager. From there, that'll give you the information that you can use to start looking at what the password managers are, what features they provide you, and things like that. And keep in mind, some of them have costs associated to them, but those provide you advanced features that will allow you to be monitored, to have your accounts be monitored, and alert you if they're a part of a data breach, which I've found to be a very helpful feature and worth the cost. Now, once you've found the tool that you want to use, what I suggest, and this is something I had to do for myself, you need to take on the mindset of the aggregation of marginal gains. You need to take baby steps here because you can't sit down and do every account that you have. It's just too hard. So what I suggest is you take 2 to 5 a day, you schedule time, and you go to those accounts. You reset the password, and you use your password manager to save that into your password manager and create an account in there. Now, by doing it that way, you can just do small little incremental gains throughout the day, and hopefully over time, you can get all your accounts into your password manager, and you'll be a little bit safer there. Now, in addition to doing that, there is something else called two-factor authentication. If you're not sure of what that is, or you've never heard of that, that's another layer of security for those accounts that can validate if it's you or not. And so you can search that up too. But for those accounts that you're migrating over, at the moment you're creating those accounts and resetting those passwords, apply two-factor authentication where you can. I promise it may seem like a lot of extra work, but by adding that extra layer of security, you're saving yourself a lot of hassle and hopefully preventing being involved in a data breach. So these tools of password management tools, they do help streamline your process, and they also help take out a lot of anxiety in your day. I can't tell you how many people I talk to that I would bring up the word password, and it's just stress, and it's just hard for them. But using a tool such as this helps alleviate that issue. By using better password administrative practices, you're doing your part to make sure that you're ensuring the data is protected. Other best practices that you can keep in mind are when you're creating those new passwords for those accounts that you've reset the password for, you can use long pass phrases for those passwords. No longer do you need to have an 8-character randomized with capital letters and lowercase letters and special characters. For some websites, you can adopt a long passphrase, something that's more than 12 characters at the very minimum. Something that might be a little bit easier just to remember or store, but adopt long passphrases wherever you can. Also, when you're going to websites, another best practice is just to make sure when you're logging into something, especially your bank accounts, make sure that those URLs are secure. That can be indicated by the HTTPS. The S actually indicates that your login is through a secure connection, which is important, especially since you're passing information back and forth. Don't use the same password twice. And this is just really mitigating damage. If one account's compromised, then the other accounts won't be compromised. And if you're using it more than 2 places, this is the talk for you. But really, don't use the same password for more than one account. Use your password manager to create a strong, unique password for each individual account. And this last one's pretty simple. Don't walk away from your computers and leave them unlocked. You never know. It's just a bad practice. So what I am proposing is that we are not going to be the weakest link, and that we together can work on implementing better security practices by using password managers. This enables us to make sure that we're doing our part, like I said, to protect the data that is in those databases. And also, in addition to that, as we're doing those things, this is a message that's one that I feel like everybody should get out there to everybody. As you're doing this process, share with other people. Help them be informed as to what a password manager is or what these tools can do for them. I beg of you, please, to help other people do that. And as Stephen R. Covey has said, you can't talk yourself out of a problem you behave yourself into. So please, today is the day that you can change your behavior. Thank you.